Hi all, welcome to my video. In this video I'm going to talk about what is clinical trials and different phases of clinical trials. I'll try to explain it as simple as possible so it's easier to understand. Have you ever wondered how a new medicine reaches a pharmacy shelf before doctors prescribe it, and before you buy it, it goes through something called a clinical trial. In the next few minutes, I'll explain what a clinical trial is and its different phases in the simplest way possible. Okay. So let me give you an explanation about what clinical trial is first. Okay. A clinical trial is a scientific study done on human volunteers to check whether a new medicine, vaccine, or a treatment is safe, effective, and better than the existing options. In simpler words, a clinical trial answers three basic questions. Is the medicine safe? Does it work? How well does it work compared to the existing treatments in the market? Okay. So before we go on to like different phases of clinical trials, there's something called a preclinical trial that happens before human trials begin. Okay. Before testing on humans, the medicine is already tested in laboratories and on animals. Uh, Only after passing those tests, it's allowed to be tested on humans, and this testing is called a preclinical trial. Yeah. Uh, okay, let me give you an example to uh, understand clinical trial in a simpler way. Okay, let me give me an example. I'll give you like a story so that you can understand clinical trial in a better way. Okay, think of clinical trial like a test, like testing a new mobile phone. Before launching it, first you check it if it turns on safely, and then you test the features with a small group. Later, thousands of users test it in real world conditions. Finally, once everything works, well, it is launched in the market. Medicine follow a similar step-by-step process, which we call phases of clinical trial. Okay, now let's understand these phases one by one, like phase one to phase four in a very easy way. Okay. Okay, what is phase one? Phase one clinical trial mainly talks about the safety related to the drug. Okay, here because it's the initial stage of clinical trials, the number of volunteers in this particular phase are very less. It basically talks about 20 to 100 healthy volunteers, and then checks the basic safety, then finds the dosage, identifies side effects. Okay, the main three questions we're going to answer in phase one is it safe? What dose is safe for the patient? And what are the serious is there any serious side effect? And if they are, what are they? Then you can think phase one as a test as testing the brakes before you're driving a car on the road. Okay, so yeah, you can understand it like that. Then phase two. Okay, phase two, what we're talking about in phase two is the effectiveness of the drug. Okay, in phase two, the medicine is given to patients who actually have the disease. So here we have around 100 to 300 patients, and then it checks if the medicine works, and then we check to find the best dose suitable for the patient, and then continue safety monitoring. Okay, the main three questions that we're answering in phase two is that does the medicine work? What is the best dose? What are the side effects? What are the side effects which are common in phase two for this particular drug? Okay, and then let's move on to phase 3. Okay, phase 3 is a large scale testing. You have around 1000 plus patients, then compared with standard treatment of placebo. So you're comparing the current treatment with the standard treatments of placebo in the market. So placebo is nothing but the dummy treatment or sugar pill. Okay, so this is done to confirm the effectiveness and safety uh, of the study drug, and this is also used for the regulatory approval. Okay. So phase 3 also answers a few questions that are required. One is how effective the medicine is, how safe it is for long-term use, and whether it is better than the current treatment. That's why we compare it with standard treatments or placebo to check the effectiveness in phase 3. Okay. So most medicines that pass phase 3 mostly get approval from the health authorities. This is from my view. It may differ, but most of them get it. Yeah. Okay. And then let's move to phase 4. So this is a phase in clinical trial after drug approval. So here what happens is that happens after the medicine reaches the market, like I told, after approval. Okay. This monitors long-term safety, detects any rare side effects. So the main three questions that we are answering in phase 4 is that does it have any rare side effects? What are the long-term safety for this particular drug? And performance in real world. Okay. Uh, So the main thing that happens in phase 4 is that even after a drug is in the market and people are using it, the monitoring still goes on to understand the effectiveness and the safety and how the drug performs. Okay, so that's how a medicine travels from a laboratory to your medicine cabinet. So this is a simple explanation of what clinical trials are and different phases. So you have more details to it, but when you understand this in a basic level, it's easier to understand more complex the more complex details when we go through it in the future videos. So if you find this explanation helpful, like the video and share it with someone who's curious about healthcare topics, and subscribe for more simpler clinical trial concepts which I'll be doing in future. Thank you and see you soon.